Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. This is really a sort of appendage or a little coda for my previous video where I was talking about, gimmick fights. And I forgot to mention one, probably the biggest gimmick of the damn lot. And that is all this nonsensical talk about WLADIMIR KLITSCHKO coming back and winning another world title. Now, okay, he's made it clear he's not going to fight Usyk because they're both Ukrainian, and he wouldn't stand a good god earthly against Usyk. Look, Usyk, okay, we know that Usyk at some point is probably going to move on, and the belts may well go up in the air. And I think this is what Vladimir's talking about. If the belts become vacant, he will try and pick one up. He's 47 now, okay, so he wants to beat George Foreman's record. All right, but the comparison doesn't bear any kind of scrutiny. For the simple, well, I'll go into it. It's not. I'll go into why it doesn't, okay? Because George Foreman in 1977 lost to Jimmy Young. He lost a 12-round decision, and he came back in 1987, so he had a decade out, okay? And he won the heavyweight title again in 1994 against Michael Moorer, knocked him out in 10 rounds. So that was, what are we talking now, 94, came back in 87, so, well, seven years roughly. Vladimir has been out since he lost to Anthony Joshua for 8 years. Okay, but here's the difference. Between coming back against Steve Zuzki in 1987, right up to the point where Foreman knocked out Michael Moorer in 94, he had a total of 29 fights. Now, almost all of those were against very, very poor opposition, very poor opposition. His attitude was, I'm going to smash everyone up, and I'm just going to rack up all these wins, smash up all the nobodies, people who are not even has-beens and more like never-wases, and I'm going to build up, with my statistically glossy record and who I am and my, the whole notion of me being, born again in more senses than one. He was a Christian man. He's a Christian man. He's in his 70s now, George. But his personality, all the fat jokes, all the hamburger jokes. That's what got him the gig with the George Foreman grill, putting his name to that, earning $100 million or whatever it was he earned. I'm going to sort of, in a sense, I'm going to blag my way into a world title fight, and he got a world title fight against, of all people, Evander Holyfield, who at the time was considered to be a sort of, I wouldn't say a paper champion, but a sort of consolation champion, if you like, because Mike Tyson, being in prison and so on, and after losing to Buster Douglas then went out in a feeble manner against Holyfield in 3 rounds. But Holyfield, he made defences against Larry Holmes, who was all but retired and who Tyson had knocked out in 4 rounds. He ended up beating Foreman, but Foreman blagged himself, a gig for the WBA, WBC and IBF titles. And after he'd lost that, he carried on, fighting people like Alex Stewart, who you see the state of Foreman's face after that fight. Alex Stewart was a sort of gatekeeper, fringe contender. He beat Pierre Kurtz. I mean, there was a notable sort of, those kind of, B-, C+, B- opponents weren't too bad. I mean, Kurtz could fight a bit. Stewart could fight a bit. Alex Stewart could fight a bit. And then he bumped into Tommy Morrison, who outpointed him. That was for the WBO title, and everyone thought, okay. He had a fight with, after the Morrison fight, he was considered an ideal opponent for Michael Moorer because he was old, slow. He'd been beaten twice in a couple of last 2.5, 3 years. Nah, no problem. Mora just beaten Holyfield. I'll box my way to a win, which he was doing. And Foreman knocked him out, and the rest is history. Oldest heavyweight champ, 45 years of age. Incredible story. I remember it happening. Unbelievable. And then he went on, he had that extremely questionable decision against Axel Schultz. He fought someone called Crawford Grimsley, who no one had ever heard of, who was undefeated. Beat him on points, couldn't even knock him out. Savarese, he won a split decision over a previously undefeated Lou Savarese, and then he ended up losing to Shannon Briggs on a majority decision, which a lot of people thought George won that fight, and that was his last fight. But between making his comeback after a 10-year break and actually winning the title at the age he was, 45, 29 fights, and only 2 defeats out of those 29. So we're talking about someone who was at least busy. I don't know how, I don't think George, particularly tried to keep his weight down, but he was certainly, he certainly trained, he worked on his skills. He even had Archie Moore, of all people, helping him out, training him. Archie Moore, of course, one of the greatest light heavyweight champions of all time. And himself, someone who didn't win the title, having been a contender for at least 10 years, he was a relatively old man in fistic terms, and certainly back in the day, when he won the light heavyweight title, and he defended it, and a great fighter, Archie Moore. But you compare that to Klitschko. Now, Klitschko isn't just coming off a defeat, he's coming off 2 defeats. Okay. Tyson Fury widely outpointed him, in my opinion. Terrific performance by Fury. Then there was that barn burner at Wembley Stadium against Joshua, where he almost had Joshua out of there, but Joshua hung on, eventually regrouped and knocked out Klitschko in, what was that, the 11th round, wasn't it? Great fight. He had a great career, Vladimir. But he hasn't had a fight for 8 years. And he's talking about coming back and win the world title. Well, even if he has 2 fights against top 30 opponents, is that really going to set him in good stead at the age he is, 47? Let's say he has 2 10-rounders and they both go the distance. That's still only 20 rounds against low-level opposition in what would be probably about 9 years. In other words, you know the point I'm trying to make. You know the point I hopefully am making. In other words, this is a gimmick fight. This is another gimmick fight. And I'm sick to death of this sort of rubbish. Vladimir Klitschko, if he wants to fight for the world title, should have to earn it. And the WBC is saying, well, he was a great champion and blah, blah, blah. We had this nonsense a year or so ago when they were talking about Pacquiao. Yeah, Pacquiao can fight, I don't know, Barrios for the welterweight title or whatever the crap they were talking was. Yeah, Vlad, he deserves to come back. He deserves to queue jump everyone else because he's a big name and he's a great, he was a great champion. And oh, by the way, we can make a few quid out of this because we can get the sanctioning fees and blah, blah, blah. I think it's a load of bullshit. I really do. If he wants to come back, he should earn the title shot properly earn it. Go out there and beat 2 or 3 contenders. Do what, Daniel Dubois did, when he fought for a vacant belt, the IBF belt. Well, he was upgraded, wasn't he? From into whatever the hell they called it, interim, whatever. Martin Bakoli's just beaten Gerald Anderson. You telling me Vladimir Klitschko deserves a shot more than him? Yeah, I just get so angry when I hear this sort of crap talk, about someone leapfrogging everyone else, fighters who deserve title shots just because of past glories. Past glories don't count. That's a legacy. And Vladimir Klitschko, you could argue, has a great legacy. You can argue that. That's fine. I don't mind, someone saying that. But we shouldn't mistake that for deserving or having earned a shot at any kind of title in 2025. I mean, it's like this talk about, it's like when Mike Tyson had that pathetic farce against Jake Paul. Did people really want to watch that crap? I mean, did they? And some people say, yeah, but it's Mike Tyson. Yeah, it's a 58-year-old Mike Tyson. I mean, come on, man. This is just... It drives me balmy. Anyway, let me know what you think. Wladimir Klitschko against whoever. Who are they going to put him in with, even if it's for a vacant belt? What are they going to do? Fabio Wardley? Would you pick Wladimir Klitschko at 47 to beat Fabio Wardley? Maybe they'll sling him in with Bacoli and he'll get smashed to bits in 2 rounds. Maybe, I don't know, who else we got in the mix then? Maybe they'll give him a shot at Dubois, and Dubois will do him in a round or something. This is garbage. This is trash. This, to me, it doesn't have anything to do with why boxing to me has been a lifelong romance. Because I love boxing. I love it. And this sort of stuff it's got nothing to do with the essence of the sport to me. And I'm not saying, I'm not even saying it should be banned or I'd rather it didn't happen. Would I watch it if it happened? I don't know. Maybe I'll take a look at it. I mean, I took a look at that Mike Tyson, Jake Paul thing. Probably I wouldn't have done, or I might have watched the first couple of rounds. If I hadn't been doing the channel, I would have bailed out. But maybe I would take a look at it. But do I want to see it? No. I don't care about that sort of thing. Gimmick fights. This video should be Gimmick Fights Part 2. Let's put all this crap to bed in 2025, please. Please. Let's have some real boxing. There's plenty of it around, plenty of fantastic fights around. We're all enjoying the Riyadh season cards and all that sort of thing. And if you go right down to Small Hall, there's some great little shows on. GBM, is it GBM? I always want to call them GMB, which was a trade union I used to belong to. GBM, isn't it? Is Yazif's organisation. Let's talk about real boxing. Let's promote real boxing, not these circus acts. If Wladimir Klitschko wants to come back and doesn't want to earn it properly over the next 2 years, earn a fight properly, go and fiddle around with a misfits lot, or I don't know, call out Jake Paul or some other shit like that, or do exhibitions like Mayweather does. I mean, I've never watched one of Mayweather's exhibitions. They're all shite to me, but I want to watch that crap. I want to watch real boxing. Anyway, comments below as usual. Let me know what you think, what your opinion is, and please subscribe to the channel if you're new and hit the like button. I do appreciate your time and your comments, as always. Looking forward to reading them, and bye for now.